Well, welcome everyone to the Masters of Travel Advisor series. I'm John Werner, the president of MAST Travel Network. We're a network of over 200 travel agencies, 1,600 travel advisors spread across the country and specializing in everywhere around the world, full service travel agencies that handle every component of planning trips from every component from A to Z. And I wanted to welcome our guest today, Kevin Carter of Collette, a touring company that is a preferred supplier of our network. Our members work very closely with Collette, and I wanted to welcome Kevin why don't you introduce yourself to our audience today?
Sure. Thank you, John. Yes, my name is Kevin Carter. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships. And really, what that means, I work with the partnerships all across the country, MAST being one of them that I've worked closely with since 2010 in different roles. I've been with Collette. July will be 22 years. I started in the product development. With Collette. Then I was a local BDM in New England, then moved to Chicago as a regional manager, and now I work on national accounts. So 22 years goes by very quick, as we all know.
Yeah, that's very true. And so yeah, I'm thrilled today to be speaking to you and having this conversation about Colette and what Colette does in the travel sphere, in the travel marketplace. And I think one of the things too is, of course, yeah, you've been in business for well over 100 years, and going from maybe traditional tours, taking people by road and I suppose sometimes by rail and ferry boat, to famous sites around the country. But of course, nowadays, touring has evolved in so many different ways, and of course, there's so many places to see and great experiences for everyone who loves to travel and explore not only the United States but across the world. And so, one of the things that Colette uh, touts or highlights, I guess you could say, is the premium experience. So, to people that are for tours, travelers that take tours and so forth, what does that really mean? The premium high experience.
Yes, as you said, Colette's been around 107 years, believe it or not. We are the oldest tour operator. We were established as a regional motor coach company, and then there are more and more companies that we competed with that offered regional travel. Then we started doing air trips and then international trips, Switzerland being our first international destination that did very well. And now when you look at it, we go to all seven continents and we have over 170 itineraries, just unbelievable. But one thing to be around for 107 years, we have to and do evolve with the travel trends and the travel that is taking a guided trip because 20 and maybe 30 years ago, people, when they took a tour, they wanted 8 hours of sightseeing, group activities. They wanted 3 meals a day. They didn't want to leave that tour manager's side. They really didn't want to venture off. They wanted to stay with that group, safety in numbers. And in some cases, that's still the case with some people, but the new traveler is more willing to adventure out, more they want to be acclimated to an area and then let off on their own. They don't necessarily want to be with the group in all times. They want to get comfortable. And really, as a company, we've taken this concept and evolved as a company. We do 50% group and sightseeing activities and 50% on your own. And what we're calling the premium product is there are many companies in the luxury category, and there's even more in the 2 to 3 star. But where we are is where we want to be in that 4 star our premium product, which means higher end hotels, not necessarily luxury, but we're also including the must sees. We don't have a lot of options or what in the cruise call them shore excursions. So much is included that you're not paying out of pocket when you're on a trip. So, for instance, when you're in Paris, we include dinner in the Eiffel Tower. That might be an option with someone else. Another example is the premium experience. We want to have less time transportation between cities. We want to stay in destinations. So we average almost 3 nights per hotel stay, which many companies might be one hotel stays, which is a red flag and a pain point for guided travel. So we've really tried to take less time on the motor coach, more time in destination, more time at the hotels, at premium hotels, and upgraded all aspects to get into that premium market where we really feel that Collette belongs.
No, that's great. And so true. And also, when we talk about a premium experience, I think Collette is the only tour company that highlights offering a transportation package. And of course, you know, uh, that transportation, all the transportation components naturally are a part of travel. And so, I mean, why is it important for travelers to understand the Collette way of offering transportation? Kind of, I think of it as more like maybe a bundled sort of option for them. But the various components of travel, airport transfers, sedan pickup service, and all that. Why does Colette uh, present it that way?
Yes, we've been offering it for almost 20 years now, and we've really packaged it as a transportation package recently because we know this is a big pain point. Travel, airfare is inevitable. We are trying to make it with less anxiety and a pain point. So we've really packaged our transportation package as one. If you do any land and air booking with us, we include basically private chauffeur service to and from the airport within 50 miles, complimentary, and then that's over 90 gateways in the US alone. Then from 50 to 75 miles, we still offer the service, but they're depending on distance. We want to still offer that, but there might be a small surcharge. Keeping in mind for everyone, it does not need to be your physical home address. We can get within that 75 miles or 50 miles and it's still offered, so you can use a family or friend's house. But the whole package itself is getting away from having friends and family drop you off at the airport or parking for very expensive. This is complimentary, and in some gateways like Chicago, 50 miles, 75 miles is $300-400 value as far as a limo, private limo service. So we package it all as one. It's airfare, it's transportation to and from the airport and hotel when you get to destination. So we're not just dropping you off in Rome and having you fend to yourself to get to that first hotel. Transfers are included. A lot of companies are pulling that service. We are not. That is so crucial because that's the beginning and end of your trip. You want to have a great memory. But the sedan service is wonderful because um, it is private sedan service, but it's that premium product we're going for. But guests come back raving about this service. They come back from Australia, New Zealand, Italy, and we ask them how their trip was, and they start talking and raving about the sedan service. I mean, it's just a rock star service that really highlights our premium experience with Collette.
Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful service. You also said just a few moments ago you were talking about the number of nights in a hotel, and I think one of the myths that prevails in conventional thinking about taking a tour is that all you do is and you dispelled the myth, but constantly moving from place to place, being on the road, trying to see it all. But with Colette, that's not the case, and you've designed your tours to spend more time discovering and enjoying the destinations you're visiting. So give us just a couple of examples about how you've changed or designed a tour different it's different today than what it might have been even, 20 years ago. And now you're staying, like you had said, 2, 3 nights in one place.
Yeah, again, it's changed quite a bit. People typically, if they were going to the UK, they just wanted to, stamp their passport, see a couple of things. Not that there was anything wrong with that, but there was a comfortability that they were used to and wanted to get back to the States. So now we've really looked at our itineraries. As I said, less time on the motor coach. So we don't want to backtrack. We don't necessarily want to see London, Scotland, and Wales and round airfare out of London. It just doesn't make sense. You're backtracking and you're spending a lot of time traveling. So what we offer are itineraries that you're doing multi-night stays in a hotel, hotels that feature where you're staying. So castle stays in the UK and Ireland. Wine barrel hotel stays in Portugal, really unique accommodation that are Instagram worthy, they're bragging right worthy. And again, we spend multi-night stays, so we pride ourselves in having almost 3 nights per hotel stay. So, and typically you have a full free day in that destination, in that hotel. So you can enjoy the amenities, you can enjoy your surroundings once you get comfortable. And the tour manager is teaching, guests and travelers how to use local transportation, like the trains and the trains in these areas like London that once you get familiar with them and during your free time, you can go about your own. So it's more time in destination, less time traveling between destinations is kind of our whole philosophy. And one thing, we're very proud of our accommodations. We contract them in person. Every hotel looks great online, but you really want to get to
Yeah.
the hotel, see where you're staying, see the location as well. So we used to say centrally located, and that is the case in major cities, but in Finland, we are not centrally located when we're staying in the igloo hotels in Finland. So these
Yeah.
are, we started saying strategically located because they're just wonderful accommodations. The Fairmont properties in Canada, again, castle stays, very unique and iconic places to stay. We also list our hotels online and in our brochure, which is unique. We're very proud of them, so we want you to look them up. We want you to see where they are. We feel that's fair to the traveler and the travel advisor because we want you to know where you're staying. We just won't say Rome area or similar type hotel. That's just not fair to the traveler. So we do list what hotels we use.
And I did notice, like on your website, when describing the accommodations, and I know that Collette isn't, again, this is how tours have evolved, where you're not just staying at standard first class hotels, that just cater to groups. You want to stay in hotels that represent the vibe of the destination. They offer amenities on your website. It talks about, exudes history, offers views, ideal locations. I got that point that you made about, centrally located. We'll call it ideal locations. It'll be places where you want to stay, where you want to be, and that have the atmosphere. Um, but so um, Oh, you gave us a couple examples. Are there any other examples that really stand out in some of the destinations that you visit?
Well, I think it comes down to location is everything, and companies stay outside of the city where there may not be attractions or a cafe or just to save money, and it brings down the cost, of course. But when you're going to this destination, you want to experience in the city. So in Venice, for example, some companies may say Venice area. Well, that might be an hour drive and an hour boat ride to get into Venice if you've ever been there before, but
Mhm.
we're walking distance to the Grand Canal.
Yeah.
That's a key centrally located place that you want to be. If you're going to experience Venice, you want to be in Venice for multi-nights. You don't want to be backtracking 2 to 3 hours every day to be where you want to be. So just an example of a location. And another location that we all know, New York City, a lot of companies, and not to say it's bad with any other companies that they have their own philosophy, but when we do a New York City stay, we stay at the Sheraton Times Square. We don't stay in New Jersey. We don't hub and spoke from New Jersey to save money. We are 4 nights in Times Square at the Sheraton Hotel, and that's the heart of the city of New York. That's where you want to be. So
Sure.
um, we do have accommodations, and I'm talking about multi-night stays. That's a spotlights tour that we talk about. It's a one-night stay. It's a one hotel stay for multi-nights in the heart of major cities. So those are just two examples of kind of our philosophy and our brand that we want. So if you go to New York, you know where a hotel is. If you go to Sydney, Australia, you're going to get that same type of accommodations. Maybe not the same brand, but you know that what quality and we're looking for with amenities.
And that's one of the great values of taking a tour, and taking a tour with Collette is that you, as you pointed out, you vetted the hotels, you've seen the hotels, and you're getting rooms in the best locations, the most iconic style of hotels, and of course, all kinds of variety, as I mentioned just a moment ago, not your typical standard first class hotel for groups. And so, when you're traveling on your own, you may not get access to those kinds of accommodations and everything, and especially at the price points that you can offer inside your tours. So the value is just incredible.
Yeah, it's a great point because the volume that we're sending, they're going to give us different rates than rack rate or individuals or FIT. But you bring a great point up because national parks, we stay in the Grand Canyon with the at the Grand Canyon lodges, and I mean, yeah, I don't even know how far out you have to book that. Now, that's not glamorous accommodations, but you're overlooking and you're in the national parks,
Yeah.
in the Grand Canyons. That's where you want to be. But that's a great point. Another point is since we contract every year and we have tour managers that are on the ground with groups, we read every single survey that comes back. And the guest surveys we can pivot from a location if a hotel decides to go through construction that they didn't let us know about. So instead of staying there and not offering the best for our guests, we are able to move if anything happens or we have some complaints about
Right.
any aspect of the tour.
Well, of course, along with the variety and the value of the hotel accommodations, of course, then we should start talking about food. And, food experiences are among the top reasons people travel. And, on your website, you state savor local flavors. And so give us examples in a few cities around the world of what Colette offers to make the culinary experiences memorable.
Yeah, I'm definitely a foodie, so we've upped our game in the last 20 years. And I don't want to go back to the past all the time, but we've learned from experiences. But people, years ago they wanted 3 meals a day, and then and it really didn't matter what they wanted. They wanted that maybe Western flavor. But the traveler is a little bit more adventurous now, especially for food. So we always pride ourselves. Breakfast will be at leisure at the hotel, and then really getting out and having experiences with the food. So using local vendors and restaurants whenever possible, having the local cuisine as options, always having options on our menu. With the tour manager there and the vendors that we use, we can always handle meal restrictions or dietary concerns. But some of my favorite experiences with food is in Southeast Asia. We go out with a chef from the restaurant. We go to a farmer's market, pick out the ingredients. We go back to the restaurant and then we have a cooking demonstration along with the meal, paired with wine and local spirits. And we're not just seeing a cooking demonstration. We are actually doing the demonstration
Mm.
and cooking as we go. And it's always a highlight to make the food that maybe we're not accustomed to, but they always absolutely love it. Another few that is becoming few. things that we do on tour all over the world is a home hosted meal.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
go into these people's homes, and they're cooking and offering us food from what they grew up with, and we're able to taste that along with just talking to them about living in certain areas like New Zealand, South Korea, even in the States and in Canada. This is just interacting with locals. So it's not just a meal, it's an experience. Having a lunch on Mount Etna on a winery overlooking Italy and in Naples is just something that people want to do. They just don't want a meal, they want an experience. And in fact, we used to offer 3 meals a day, and we read our surveys, and people didn't necessarily want all the meals included. They wanted to go out on their own. They wanted choices. So we do progressive dinners, choices of restaurants that we've picked for them, progressive dinners, dine arounds, things like that. So now we have 60% of our meals that are included. And if you think about it, if you've ever been to Europe, we very rarely include a lunch unless it's an experience that I talked about on Mount Etna, because in Europe, that's their biggest meal of the day is lunch. That could be a 3 hour experience. And people from the States, they want to shop, they want to kind of explore on their own. So
Yeah.
typically we'll do lunch on their own because that's what people want. They want to grab a gelato and get moving.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. But I mean, it's just an incredible experience with, and also the modern traveler, today's traveler, also has expressed so much interest in getting to know local people and local culture. And so I think the home experience of dining, cooking with somebody in their home and eating that food that is being cooked there is so special. Very, very much a part of the experience and the journey.
Yeah, it becomes the highest rated on the surveys. It's what is memorable. And the people that are like, well, that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Maybe they have anxiety going to someone's home and maybe staying at their home and having a meal. Those are the ones that you can't get to leave. Those are just the people
Yeah,
that absolutely love it. They say, "Well, we got to go," and they
yeah,
want to stay. They just really, really enjoy meeting the locals. And again, it's not just going to experience a destination; it's experiencing the food and the culture and the people.
yeah. And the hosts in these homes and everything, they're so proud of what having people in their home and entertaining them in that way and presenting the food of their culture and everything. It's just a great experience for everybody.
It is, yeah. Very proud of their local cuisine, their local wine, and that they've made maybe right in their home. It's just, yeah, it's definitely a highlight.
Yeah. Well, I know, Collette has different touring styles and classic small group exploration, spotlights. You mentioned that a few minutes ago, faith and private touring. So in brief, how are each of these styles different from one another?
Yeah, our classic tours, the majority of our tours are classic. That's how we were established as a company. That's your max amount of people is 44, but we average around 32 to 34 per departure. We use the 55 plus seater motor coach. We're not taking every seat up, but 44 is your classic tours. Pretty much we go to all destinations with our classic tours. And then explorations has been around about 20 years. It's our small group explorations. They are designed as small groups. We just don't take our classic tours and make them a smaller amount. And why that's important is because they are designed with smaller groups in mind. So there's things that you can do with a max of 24 to 14 where you can't do with your classic tours. So you can use boutique hotels, those meal experiences,
Yeah.
truffle hunting that would be very difficult with a group of 44. Those small groups are our fastest growing product line as far as product development and fastest growing for travelers. The price is not that much more than our classic. The value is still there. If you think about it, the more people you go, the better value there is. But we've really made these price points for exploration in our small groups comparable to our classic, which is
Right.
great. They are to destinations that we go to with our classic tours, like Italy, Ireland, Iceland. But then you're going to have some off the beaten path. And maybe for the traveler that's been to Italy maybe 5 times, they would love our itineraries on small groups. So you can always privatize any of our itineraries, explorations, African safari. Really, the value is there when you have 8 to 10 or more to privatize a tour. If it's two, you're going to look at an FIT package. But if you're looking at a guided experience with a tour
Yeah.
manager, you can always privatize these tours and price them out for travelers. But also, our spotlights, as I mentioned, are your one hotel stays. They're all over the world, major cities. But even in Tuscany, we stay for 7 nights in a Tuscan village in Montecatini Terme, and we visit all the surrounding villages of Italy. And that's, again, a one hotel stay. So if you like river cruising and cruising, you're going to like our spotlights because you're packing and
Yeah.
unpacking once. Plus, like you said, the more time you spend in a hotel, the better value you're going to get, the better pricing if you're staying at a hotel multi-night.
Yeah.
So spotlights tend to be great value. And then our faith-based, we did Omeramagao a few years ago, and it's coming up, which is the Passion Play in Bavaria, and the Jubilee in Rome this year. So we have faith-based journeys for travelers as well.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I think the small group explorations, one of I think the things that make them special for let's say multi-generational families,
Yep.
they might think that excuse me, as you pointed out, if they think that they have to go on some kind of a custom made itinerary, they really can look at a Collette small group tour, and again that where we're talking incredible value, and get those special experiences like you pointed out, maybe boutique hotels or restaurants that cater to a smaller number of people. And so the experiences that a group like that can have is could be incredible.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes difficult to figure out as an individual traveler. How do you do a cooking demonstration or a wine visit to Mount Etna, and things like that are already in there. And you have someone there that knows the destination. The tour manager is with you, whether you want them there or not. They're there for you
Yeah,
to use their
great.
knowledge to point you in the right direction. And if you don't need them, they're still there to help with baggage, check-in. I think a great part of what we haven't talked about as guided travelers, is entrance fees and entrance,
Oh,
not
right.
wasting time in line for tickets or waiting to get inside the Coliseum, for instance.
Mhm.
That tour manager has pre-purchased everything. You're skipping all the lines. You're going in as a group, and that is with small groups or our classic tours. You're going up as a group. Believe me, you don't feel bad skipping the lines. You go right in, and you're spending all your time inside these areas and not wasting time in line because that can be half of your day is
Yeah.
planning the day and then trying to get tickets for your day.
Yeah. Well, you did point out early on in the conversation about eliminating all the pain points, and that is one of them. That definitely it can be a pain point if you spend a lot of time in line, and or maybe you can't even get into some of these places because it's all booked up. So
Right. And
uh,
you don't know that until you get there. Yeah,
exactly,
it's a
exactly.
great
So
point. The value is there, and what I tell people is explorations. It's if you don't mind traveling with 5 to 6 couples or 12 to 14 people, you're looking at 30 to 40% savings. So even those FIT independent travelers, price it out, look at the itineraries. Most likely, we're going to the destinations that you want to go at 40% less.
yep, right. I also noticed that Collette offers tours that are back to back, and you call them two tours in one. Can you give us two examples, one in the U.S. and one internationally, of like someone could take two back to back tours and make it one trip?
Yeah, what we were finding, whether they took a Collette trip or maybe a river cruise with a different company or an ocean cruise, they were kind of combining different operators and in some cases using the same operator like ourselves. And because we all know the airfare is the biggest cost of the trip. So if you're going, stay in the U.S., but especially international, people want to stay there multi-weeks to maybe take that cost off their plate. And if they're close to another tour, we've actually have tours that almost match up perfectly. You might have to do a pre or a post night, depending on when the departure leaves. But one in particular in the U.S. Well, I will talk about Europe first because they're very, very popular in Europe, especially. But they're going to Ireland, and then because they want to see Ireland and Northern Ireland, and then they're extending, going to London, and then doing our British landscapes,
Mm.
and in some cases heading over to Paris and then doing our French Magnifique. So they're almost
Yeah.
spending a month there,
Yeah.
and with the trains in between, or maybe a ferry and a quick flight, and then flying back. We can accommodate that. We can fly you from the States and out of Paris when you just in the States. We start in Ireland. So we're finding them very, very popular. Our call center is well aware of these destinations that match up. But even some will do our France trip and then fly to Rome and then spend 2 weeks in Italy. Again, taking away that airfare from the States back and forth. They're staying,
Right.
months at a time.
Right.
In the US, we have some very popular trips. We have one that starts in New York next year at the for the 200th anniversary of America, and then it heads down. It ends in Washington, but many people are extending to our Southern Charm Tour, which is
Oh yeah.
Charleston, Savannah, and Georgia, right down
Yeah.
the coast and seeing it all. So a very, very popular trip there. And then on the West Coast, a very popular trip. We were just there in Portland, but we do Seattle all the way to San Francisco, and then we have another tour that starts in San Francisco all the way to San Diego. So
Oh,
there you're looking at probably 3 weeks and seeing the whole West Coast. That's very, very popular.
yes. Yeah. What a great experience. And so, speaking of designing great experiences, I know that, you, there are roles in your company. Some people are tour designers and versus tour managers. Could you just describe what the difference is in the roles?
Yes, the tour managers are your guide on tour. So they are with you throughout the whole trip. They are from the beginning hotel all the way to the last hotel, getting you to and from the airport. And one highlight that I'd like to say about our tour managers, we use the same tour manager throughout the whole trip. So if we're doing our London and Paris trip, which we're taking the high-speed train from London to Paris, we do 3 nights London, 3 nights Paris, but our tour manager travels with them to Paris. A lot of companies will have a tour manager in London and a tour manager in Paris, and not that that's wrong, but you built the friendship and
Sure,
with that tour manager, we want them to carry you through the whole trip, and
sure.
they know both cities very, very well. Now, tour designers are what we used to call product managers, and I did that for a few years with Collette. They design the itineraries, the where they're staying, the flow of it, but they also we have buyers and product designers in countries. So, for instance, we have a product designer in Japan that is contracting with these hotels, and like I talked about, they're seeing every accommodation, every restaurant, every vendor and building the tour from there. So they're tour designers, they're seeing what's popular, what's trending right now. So we're always tweaking our tours, changing them a little bit, and adding to popular destinations. For instance, our Japan tour does very, very well. Our product designer lives in Japan. We do not use destination management companies, which means we don't have to pay a third party to design our tours. We design them ourselves. We contract with ourselves. So again, you're cutting out the middleman and paying less for a premium product like Collette. But people wanted to see South Korea, so we added departures that were Japan and heading over to South Korea, which is very, very popular and doing very well. So we're always listening to what people want, what's doing well, and if we do have to adapt and pivot, we do are able to change a hotel or a destination very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Um, so one more question. I know that you have a loyalty program. You call it your Passport Club. Tell us more about that.
Yes, that is, we just enhanced it. It is a loyalty program that if you've booked with Collette, you are able to, the next time you book on tour, you get a percentage off depending on the amount of tour. We used to offer $150 per person, but now we've made it a percentage. So depending on the price of your tour, you get an even higher percentage off and a dollar amount towards your next trip within 12 months. And then if you book within 24 months, that percentage drops slightly. But it's something that we wanted to offer loyal travelers and loyal travel advisors to consider Collette for different years and different tours because, yep, someone may do a cruise one year, they may do a Collette trip, and they may come back to us. And we wanted to reward people for being loyal to us. So that also is combinable with any offers that we have in the industry. So, and it is per person. So it can accumulate and add up. For instance, we just had an offer that was 50% off air that you can still book for a couple of days on any trip. That loyalty dollar goes towards the amount of your trip. So it's not one or the other, it is combinable.
That's wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to add to our conversation? Any other highlights you want to give us?
Well, I would just say since guided travel has evolved within the last 20, 30 years, if it's something that maybe you've had negative thoughts about, that you're on the motor coach, you're spending one night hotel stays, really consider us for the value, but also what you're seeing. We've heard comments that you've thought of everything. I didn't have to think. And I
Yeah.
love this one. I've heard you could have charged me more. Who doesn't like to hear that? So when
Yeah.
when you talk about value, you really never hear you could have charged me more. But when people
Yeah.
come back, they realize, wow, I did see a lot for what I spent.
Yeah. Oh, so true. So true. Yeah, Kevin, it's been great. Enjoyed our conversation today. And thank you so much for joining us and telling us a lot more about a Collette tour.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you.